Welcome to the Creative Visionaries Podcast. My name is Tori Barker, a digital marketing specialist, business owner, mom, and you guessed it, a creative visionary. This podcast is about inspiring business owners, building connections, sharing success stories, and motivating others. Join me on this journey as we tap into your true potential and unleash your inner visionary. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us again on the Creative Visionaries Podcast. I have the honor and pleasure to introduce our next guest, Dan Hafner. Dan is the founder of Dapper Mobile Apps. Dan, welcome on and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, Tori, thank you for having me on the show. I'm super excited. As you mentioned, my name is Dan Hafner. My company is Dapper Mobile Apps. I live here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I'm married to my wife of just 4 years now the other day. Super excited. We have 3 dogs in our home, so I'm definitely a dog person. And I kind of describe myself as a little bit of a traveling spouse or a medical spouse. My wife is in the medical field. So I have been traveling and following her over the past 10 years we've been together, led to me having my own business. It also led us having 3 dogs and living this crazy life. And then, that's pretty much what we do. We like to walk our dogs, we like to do stuff outdoors, do a whole bunch of fun things when she's not working, obviously.
Love that. Well, tell us about Dapper Mobile Apps. Where did that come from? How did you start it? How long have you been in business?
Yeah, so really it's been on and off, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years. Started out as a hobby, obviously, kind of like a lot of things. As I alluded to, I was following my wife around the country. We moved every 3 years or so. And it got really hard to hold down a job, as you can imagine. So eventually I was like, you know what, I got to figure out my own thing. And I had kind of this entrepreneurial bug. I had a couple of ideas for an app when we were engaged. I had gained a lot of weight and I needed to kind of lose it. So I kind of had this idea for a running and health and fitness app. I didn't know how to code. I didn't have a lot of money to figure out how to do it. So I figured out how to do it on my own through a lot of different no-code and low-code software tools. And next thing I knew, I had an app out there and running and working and getting downloads and making money. And then eventually I had a podcast and people were like, can you maybe do that for me too? That looks really interesting. So one thing led to another, and here I am doing it as a profession. So that's kind of the short version of how it got started.
Wow. I was going to ask you when I first looked at the site in your business if you had coded everything, because I've looked at apps before and I thought, oh my gosh, there's no way anyone could ever do that unless you're a developer or coder. So it's just interesting to hear you talk about like a no code, low code type of platform. So I'm intrigued on how that works.
You know, I'm so glad you brought that up because that's the same thing that I faced, right? Like when I said, when I first started my journey, when I first had the idea for an app, right? I was like, I need to figure out how to code this, right? So that lasted about a week. I think I went on to like different sites and learned all like HTML and different stuff. And I was like, I can't do this. Like some people can do that. I couldn't. I was like, I have no idea, right? And so I started calling around and different agencies online and all these different developers, and they quoted me like $100,000, $150,000 for the app I wanted. And I was like, I have no idea like how I'm going to do this, but I knew I wanted to do it. And you know, honestly, once I just dove down that rabbit hole, I found there's so much out there that is so accessible to people. And if you can copy and paste and you can point and click, like you can build pretty much anything. There's no code funnel software builders, website builders, app builders, even things like Jotform and those types of things are all no code, right? And it's just incredible, like the how far technology has come to be able to get these things built and effective and running. If you just have an idea, like technology no longer has to be the barrier.
I love that. And for so many people, that is the barriers, the technology and that knowledge. And so for you to have an offer or a product that can help alleviate that pain and help people kind of grow their business and get themselves out there with a software or app like this, that's phenomenal. That's awesome. So tell us why you feel somebody should have an app. So who is this app for? What types of businesses can utilize an app to its best ability, or just kind of touch on that for us?
Yeah, it's a great question. So there's really two that I focus on. The one is just like you said, of kind of the individual branded app is kind of where I specialize in, right? Where you can take a lot of people have membership sites, they have video content, they have podcasts, they have physical handouts that they do, or even social media followings that they want to monetize, right? So really having your own app in that sense is kind of bringing it all into one house, as I like to say, kind of all under one roof, right? And the
Yeah.
benefits to that are, how often do you remember someone's website, or when you pull up Google on your phone or Safari or whatever you use, remembering their website and actually engaging with it and coming back, right? As to where when there's an app on your phone, on your home screen, that you can actually click that has your logo on it, your face on it, your brand on it, that is so much more sticky. That is so much more powerful. And I mean, not to mention, you can use these as not only a content house and a selling house and a lead generation piece, but as a all-in-one marketing tool. And then the second piece is really kind of having your own platform, like your own marketplace, your own social network, your own type of thing as well. But that's kind of a different conversation, because I mean, there's been companies I know when I first got into this, I've read about companies who raised millions and millions of dollars for their startup just using a no-code app builder.
Wow.
Like when I read that, I was like, okay, I need to get into this business somehow. There's clearly some traction here. But those are really the two different things that I like to explain to people.
And then, so if you were building an app for clients, or the clients that you have built the app for, do they use it for a one-to-one connection or a one-to-many? Could it be like a group conversation, or could it be just a direct one-on-one notification, or how does that work in the app, or is it all customizable?
It's a great question. To answer, the short answer is it's all customizable. There's people who do both. Obviously, when you utilize technology, you want to be able to do a one-to-many model, right?
Right.
We're just working with a lady here recently where she's been running her fitness business almost strictly on TikTok. Like, she blew up on TikTok, and she just kind of got sick of doing it all, and it was just so overwhelming and all these personal messages. So we figured out a way to basically put everything that she has and all her workouts and all her programs and her messaging and all that stuff into an app, and it's like completely streamlined what she does. But at the same time, she also has a one-to-one upsell of working with people one-on-one that she sells for, I think it's like $1,500 or $2,000 or something like that, which obviously not a lot of people are going to buy in an app, but she closes them on the phone. She tags them in the app. They get access to that one-on-one type of program in the app. So really, in essence, she does both.
Both.
So I hope that answers that for sure.
Yeah, no, that definitely answers a question. And, my next thought is, I own a digital marketing agency. And so my thought would be, how does this integrate with, how does the marketing tools that a company would use integrate with an app? So like a CRM system, and like social media marketing, and website, email, text messages. How does that all, do those talk to each other? Can the app help to facilitate and streamline that so that you're not managing multiple platforms?
Yes, that is a great question. And to be honest with you, as a non-coder, I struggled with that for a long time to figure out. I ran into that exact problem that you're talking about. Like, okay, how do I get this hand to talk to this hand? Because now I have all these different things, right? So in essence, yes, you can. There's actually a new upgrade that I made to our software recently because I had all these people asking me about this. And what it allows you to do is you take the app, you take that marketing piece that just like you'd be promoting a podcast or a website or a funnel, right? You say, hey, download our app, and then as people go into it, it automatically puts them into your CRM. It puts them into any automation sequences, any sales sequences, lead generation sequences, all that stuff like that. It's really, there's a lot more customization that comes with that. Like when I first started my first app, for example, I would have people come in, they would download, and then they would sign up. And then I had a CRM over here that I would copy and paste their stuff over into there, which was automatic and all that stuff. Yeah. And that's when I was like, okay, there's got to be a way to connect these. So yes, there is ways to do that for sure.
Now, is there a way to track and monitor like performance of the app? How do you keep track of who's engaged with your app and who are viable leads per se?
Yeah. So we have a couple different ways. Like our software has, you can monitor downloads, sessions, which is just people browsing in the app. You can actually monitor how long they're in the app, whether it's 0 to 10 seconds or over 3 minutes, things like that. You can actually see which features are more popular. So maybe you add something that you think is going to be super valuable for people, and then you see that
and nobody uses it.
And you're like, okay, let's take that out, right? It's just a way to kind of A/B test. And then another cool thing that I think a lot of people miss is that Google, once you put your app on Google and Apple, they provide you with so many analytics that it'll just make your head spin, honestly, of, by country, by, people retaining, are they still using your app like 10 to 30 days after they download it? There's just so many cool things that you can do. And there's all kinds of different software you can link into there that shows your most engaged users, that shows who's accessing which features so you can tag them with certain things. And yeah, honestly, I'm trying to make it as easy as I can, but it can make your head spin what you can do, really.
You can get as complicated as you'd like, or you can keep it as simple as you like, right?
Exactly. That's a good way to put it.
So I wanted to ask the difference between a mobile app and a mobile website. So some people might think that, well, I have a website and it's mobile friendly and I've got all those bells and whistles on my website. Why can't I just use a website? So what would you say to somebody like that who could potentially benefit from an app?
That's a very good question. It's one of the most common ones I get. So a lot of people think just because my website's mobile friendly that like you said, that I don't really need an app. And it's, maybe you don't, not everyone does, but if you're looking for, repeat functionality, a more customized experience, then yes, an app is definitely going to benefit you because of, like I said at the beginning, not everyone ever remembers your website. You can do things, what they call it. It's called a progressive web app, if you've ever heard of that, which is basically an app that functions on a browser. So it really is, it would be like going to like app.dappermobileapps.com, right? For example, where it actually pulls up in a mobile browser, but it looks and functions like a native app that you would click on your phone, right? So that's kind of a hybrid for people. Yeah. But, and again, a website, I like to say, is really kind of a passive marketing tool, right? Like you can go out and you can SEO things, but really you can't really do outreach with a website. You kind of have to just drive people to it. Whereas
Right.
with an app, you can kind of do both. Is like, obviously you have to drive people to it, but it can organically grow just like a website. But then once they're in your app, you can market to them. Like you can send them push notifications. You can have them sign up for text messages. You can do all these different things. So then the app becomes an outbound marketing tool instead of just a passive thing like a website where you're just capturing leads. You're doing those things because a website can't send really notifications. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's really kind of the main differences with those.
And have you seen with an app for your clients, have you seen it work best for existing clients that they have, or lead nurturing to get prospects off the fence and utilizing the services, or how does that incorporate with the app itself for most of your clients?
That's a good question too. The people I see succeed with this the more often is the people who kind of have a existing client base and they have content, they have done things for a number of years, and they're just kind of at the point where they need to organize it all, and they need to, like you said, nurture and kind of include different things at different price points.
Yeah.
When I first started out, I was kind of a lot like, I think like a lot of business people, and I was just kind of working with anyone. And I worked with a couple of people who were just kind of starting out. They had the idea. They were like, oh, let's go and build this out and then attract all these people. It didn't really work out as well, just because like it really is a lead building tool, but there's a ton, and I mean a ton more marketing that you have to do when you don't already have the list. But then, like you said, it builds on itself, so you can use it as both a client retention and a current client piece, but then also as a new client acquisition type of tool.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah. I'm thinking my wheels are spinning in my head like, ooh, how could I use this, right?
It happens quite often. Yes, it does.
So tell me like one of your favorite clients or apps that you've built that you just love is like a favorite case study of yours, or, something that has been a favorite project that you worked on.
Yeah, I always tell my go-to, my very first client, honestly. Her name is Jessica, and she has an app called Feel for Your Life. Okay. So she came to me, she's a breast cancer survivor. Her story is incredible. If you go to feelforyourlife.com or download her app, you can learn all about her. Double mastectomy, double reconstruction surgery, the whole 9 yards, like really, really crazy. But her mission was to become a beacon of breast cancer awareness and survival. And she actually found her own lump through her own self-breast exam. So her mission is to teach women and bring women together to like encourage them to do their self-breast exams. So that's what her app Feel for Your Life is all about. It actually, it was featured on Good Morning America. Believe it or not. Yeah, there it is right there. It was really, really cool. She's even gone so far. Actually, I don't know if I can fully talk about it, but she's like in the process of getting like even legislation out there for this, kind of off the back of this app and everything like that too. So it's crazy. It's been super humbling and awesome to work with her. And that's always the one I like to brag on the most.
That's phenomenal. Something so you wouldn't think that a product that you could build could make such an impact, but for that, something that you put together and had this idea for an app that any business could use, and then people like this take it from what you created, and they're making changing lives in the process of it. So that's phenomenal. I applaud you for great creativity and visionary skills for developing an app like this. It's awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But I do have to say just a quick caveat. I can't take all the credit because Jessica did do some of that work, which is actually kind of interesting because the way our software is, you can learn to do it yourself. So she actually did a lot of the design work of it, and she did a lot, some of the integration and some of the, marketing and all that type of stuff around it. She really took the bull by the horns and made it, the success that it is. And it's kind of actually inspired me, back months ago when it first launched back in the fall, to kind of include that piece inside of what I do as well. Because just like your last question, I saw so many people come in and get this. It's like giving somebody a Lamborghini, right? Like they have this awesome tool, and you're like, oh, this is so cool. But then, like, how do you drive it? If you put me in front of a Lamborghini right now, I probably wouldn't know how to drive the thing, right?
Right.
So actually figuring out how to market, and that's one thing that I taught myself when I first launched my first app, was like, okay, it's out there. Now what do I do with it? How do I market it? How do I get people in front of it? There's a science to that. There's a specific formula, right? So her doing that, and kind of my own experience with my own stuff kind of prompted me to bring in like a marketing back end piece, which is something additional after you get the app built, that we can work with you as well, to be like, okay, you got this cool thing. Now let's go market it and help you scale instead of you doing it by yourself. So, yeah.
Well, and that's key too, because you can, like you said, you can hand somebody a Lamborghini or keys to a Lamborghini and just expect them to do it. But but really, when you have an app like this, you create this finished product, this beautiful app that they can utilize, and then it's that next step where people get crippled, right? Like, what do I do? How do I get this in front of my customer base? How do I promote it? Where do people find it? So that next step, I think, is huge with a product like this, because without it, it's not going to be successful. So absolutely.
Yeah. And I mean, and just for the audience too, like in just thinking of that in like a business aspect, like I had to make a choice. I had to make a decision when I got that epiphany of like, when I started my business, I just wanted to be like, I'll build you the thing. Like, that's just what I'm going to do. I'm going to specialize in that. Right. But then after seeing so many people that I built things for just struggle like to get it off the ground, I had to make a choice. And I was like, am I going to help them with this and offer something additional, which is going to be it's more money, but it's also more work. Right. And I think some people inside of like, just in like a general business context, like you kind of think, okay, do I just want to be doing this, or do I want to maybe go over here? And it's kind of hard to brand and specialize that, but that's also kind of helped me market and brand and niche in a better way, because there's really no one out there doing it. You're either an app builder or you're an app marketer. Whereas I was like, what if we just combined all that and we made that one thing, right?
Mind blowing, phenomenal. So as a visionary myself, I have to ask, for you, now that you've gotten the success that you have for the app, are you looking to the future of different ways that you can expand, or any big visionary thoughts for your product and your business?
Yes, actually, that's a great question. I I have a lot of different visions. So I'll actually share this at the end. This is a good day that we're recording this, because I actually just launched a brand new app, really for Dapper Mobile Apps, for my own business, which is kind of a combination of all these visions I've had, which allows me to just go. I can go live in there. I can teach in there. I can house all my content. I can do my mastermind stuff. That's part of what I'm doing, as well as offering more of like a group type session where you don't have to come in here and do it yourself, where it's a lot cheaper to do. But if you also don't have a lot of them, like custom app development is expensive. Like it's a lot of money, right? Even in the no and low code space, it can be quite a bit of money if someone does it for you, right? So what I'm starting to do is also offering, just like as you can see at dappermobileapps.com, we have a mastermind where we'll actually take you through in a group format and get you like up and running within 8 to 10 weeks of actually getting this sucker built and launched and out there. And then to be honest, I have another vision for for really helping entrepreneurs that truly want to create an impact inside of a business and a platform, right? So I've actually I've partnered with a couple people who came to me with app ideas, and I was so blown away by the idea that I was like, okay, I kind of want to partner in this as a business partner, right?
Yeah.
So that's actually something I'm always on the lookout for as well. I'm very, very, very selective on those. Because obviously I can't be, a partner in 900 businesses. But if the right opportunity comes along, I'm definitely willing, even if it's not just, working inside of there or contributing technology, just investing in those types of things, because sometimes like I really wish somebody would have come down and given me a hand up sometimes, whether it was just a partner or a little bit of money or whatever. So now that like you said, I've got to that place to just be able to give someone like a leg up if their idea, like, it's not like Shark Tank, but like, like app Shark Tank, maybe, like, you know what I mean? Like, just to be able to give someone
Here's
like
a
a
new
leg up
TV
and be like,
series.
yes, I like it. That's a big vision. I love it. Yeah. So I got lots of big plans.
That's awesome. I'm the visionary type, and so I always have these ideas running through my head, and I try to funnel the good ones from the bad ones, but sometimes it's just like they just come in so fast. I got to write them down or do a voice recording and try and remember what it is that I'm thinking in my crazy visionary head. I did have one thought, because here I am again thinking about this app. And so I was wondering, have you ever had, now that we're in this sort of virtual working space, have you ever had like a large company utilize the app for internal like retention and company culture or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah. So we actually did one. So I'll be honest, we never actually launched it because they ended up not wanting to do it for whatever reason. But we were building it as exactly like that, like with onboarding, documentation, employee messaging, secured file storage, directories, all that kind of stuff. For whatever reason or another, they decided they just didn't want to do it anymore before we launched it. But I mean, we were in the process of building all of that. So that's definitely something you can do. Another thing is, you can even do company events inside of there, or conference events. It was actually pretty funny. I was just talking to you before we got on here. I was at a conference with my wife out in Denver, and they had an app out there for the conference. And every time we went out to dinner with people, they did nothing but complain about the app, right? And I was like,
You're thinking business opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. So we're definitely, we're open to work, building those types of things as well. And if I could, just to add to what you said earlier about you being a visionary, and so I work with one of my partners in my other business that I partner with for their app. He is all visionary. Like, he is a guy that just has endless ideas. They're really good ideas, most of them, obviously. But he's notoriously a bad implementer, right? Like he's just got such good ideas. The whole business idea came to him and stuff like that. And the more we've worked together, I've really got practice in seeing the difference between being a visionary and being an implementer. And I'll tell you what I've learned. I could talk all day. We could have a whole separate podcast episode about just that topic. But yeah, I mean, like, everyone needs an implementer. Everyone needs someone to be able to take those grand ideas you have out there and actually like bring them into reality and bring them into fruition. There was one of my mentors that I never met. He always says, there's no such thing as $1 million idea. There's only $1 million execution,
Yeah.
So as you were saying that, and when I first saw your show, I was like, I need to add that, because that's a super interesting thing I've been learning a lot recently. So I know that's kind of off topic, but
No.
just thought I'd add
That brings me to the thought of, have you ever read the book Rocket Fuel?
I have not. I think I've heard of it though.
So
it sounds familiar.
You'll have to check it out. Rocket Fuel is exactly that concept. So they talk about a visionary and an integrator, and how you need both of those minds or those roles in a company in order for it to be successful. Because just like you said, you've got this one person who has all these grandiose ideas and let's do this and let's do that, but they're horrible at implementing or putting those ideas in place. And so that integrator, or whatever you want to call it, that person is the one who takes action and takes those ideas and makes them a reality. So definitely check that out. That's really where my vision and my idea for the podcast came from, was from that book, because that when I first read that book, that's when I identified myself as a visionary. Because everything that he was saying in the book just checked off for me. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm absolutely that. Absolutely. Yes, totally on point. So you'll have to check that out, or recommend that for your friend to read as well.
Yeah, that sounds really, really interesting. Because I definitely, it took me a long time to realize that about myself, that I really was, because the more we went into meetings and we talked about the idea, I found myself like so frustrated. I'm like, okay, like these are all great ideas. Like what do we have to show for this, guys? Like, let's do something. I'm just like I just do things, so.
You're the integrator, the one that puts things together, makes it happen.
Yes. 100%. Like I still like to have ideas and I have vision. But I'm definitely like, okay, tell me what to do and we'll do it and we'll make it happen. Like I'll take this idea and we'll be like, okay, here it is. That's just how I work.
Partnership opportunity right here. I need you. You need me.
Exactly.
Yeah. You got to match yourself with those people so that you can help grow and succeed your own business. I love that.
100%.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for all of the information that you've shared and telling us about the Dapper Mobile Apps and just your insight and the stories about successful products that you've built. And it's just been phenomenal to learn about. I can't wait to kind of dive in on my own and just kind of look at what you have to offer. But is there anywhere that you want people to connect with you? I know we've mentioned your website, but how can people get in touch with you and learn more about you outside of the podcast?
Yeah, like you said, the website, dappermobileapps.com. And actually, I'm super glad we recorded today because I can announce the launch of this new app. It is called Mobile Domination. That's 2 words. It is anything and everything to do with what I do. It's literally an example. I teach live in there. I have content in there. I have blueprints in there, like the whole 9 yards. So you can download that on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. And it's called Mobile Domination. Okay. So definitely check that out. There's applications to our mastermind there. You can get in touch with me. You can, follow along live when I go in there and teach. Access our Facebook group in there. I would recommend download the app. So practicing what I preach, and I'm coming on the podcast to pitch the app, and we'll see how it goes.
That's awesome. And this episode will be live on the Creative Visionaries Podcast website. So you guys will be able to go back and listen to the episode, and then you'll have links directly to all of the resources that Dan had referenced, and you can go in and download his app. So thank you again. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I hope you all have enjoyed this episode.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for listening to the Creative Visionaries Podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe, leave us a review, or share with a friend. Also, make sure to visit us online at creativevisionariespodcast.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. And stay tuned for more episodes to come. And remember, it's time to tap into your true potential and unleash your inner visionary.